Well, greetings, dear ones. We are very pleased to have this time to speak with you today. And so as we are looking at these beautiful flowers and leaves and trees, our writers asked us to address the issue of how to forgive oneself. And this is one of the great questions in life, probably, because so many go through life feeling that they deeply regret decisions they made, things they didn't do, things they did do or say, or situations they feel they let just slip through their grasp. I ought to have taken responsibility there, or ought to have taken up that beautiful opportunity and I didn't, or I ought to have said or done this or that. And the feeling is, looking back, I don't understand why I reacted the way I did. And we will say that each of you has had many earth lives, dear ones. Each of you has had many opportunities to be on this earth and to experience a great deal. And some of that was highly traumatic. So that it wasn't necessarily you yourself responding to a situation. It was maybe the frightened child, maybe the traumatized wife or husband or worker or farmer or fisherman who experienced something very difficult in one life or another, and that memory is still there. The pressure of that trauma is still deep in the psyche. It's still there as an imprint on the soul, so that as you come into another earth life, that pain finds a way to exert itself once again. And really, you can find ways to give thanks when an old trauma surfaces. It sounds very strange, but it's an opportunity to heal it finally, and this is one of the greater things that you and all of the generations who are on the earth now have come in for. You haven't come in just to have it easy and good and wonderful and everything laid in your lap or attainable in joyful ways. That sounds wonderful, but that has not been the third dimension, as you are aware. And so you came in at the tail end of the third dimension, saying, all right, I'm going to experience this again, and this time I'll pay attention and I'll heal that old trauma that I keep experiencing and re-experiencing in one life or another. Now, what's interesting is that because of the trauma, you then have a trauma-based reaction, dear ones. So something difficult happens again. Maybe the car breaks down on a fairly deserted road or an extremely busy one. And you don't know what you're going to do because you can't seem to get any help to come out and tow the car. Or you feel that you're going to lose your housing, or you're terrified of losing your job. And you're convinced you and your whole family will starve if that happens. And it's not a matter of only relating to what you see in front of you. So don't blame yourselves if you feel later on that you didn't do or say the right thing. You have a trauma response, which is often the fight, to get angry quickly, or the freeze, to do nothing and feel just passive and incapable of changing things. And sometimes it's flight. Sometimes you just run away quickly and don't face the situation. Other times you try to maybe sweet talk your way out of it. That's a bit of fawning, as some would put it. And this is not unusual. This is how people handle any shock, any situation which draws up the old trauma. So let's work energetically right now, dear ones. Think of a situation in which you wish you'd done it differently. You can't seem to forgive yourself. You can't seem to let go. And as you're looking at these beautiful flowers growing wild here in this back garden, put yourself back in that situation where you wish you'd behaved differently, but for some reason you couldn't, and you didn't understand why at the time, and maybe you still don't. Just bring that up. We're going to work with that. It's going to look like, maybe inwardly, look like a big heavy cloud full of density, some dark storm cloud, very dark gray. Just bring that up and put it down in front of you. We're going to fill it full of light. If emotion comes up, wonderful. That is fine, dear ones. Just let go of that feeling now, and we're going to fill it full of light. And you're going to have compassion for that inner self, that wounded past life self, or that wounded child, or whatever interference was directing you at the time. You're going to have compassion. And you're going to say, I love and accept you. And now you're going to see that heavy, dark cloud. It's going to transform. We're putting it in that cool violet flame of Saint Germain. If you want to put yourself in that transmuting flame, go ahead. It's what changes things. It's what lifts things to a higher level. So go ahead and do that. Step into that cool flame. It's going to transmute the heaviness, or put that huge heavy bundle deep into that violet flame. And you'll note as you're doing that all the old soul contracts you had with that person or that situation or that experience, whatever it was, they're just turning into pure light as soon as they go into that flame. You can just see those soul contracts. Looks like they're burning up, but then you see, no, they've transmuted. They've just shifted into another form. And it might look very beautiful, or it might just look a bit odd, but that's okay. Just let it transmute back into pure energy. And it's going to rejoin that beautiful stream of pure energy that runs through the universe. And from that, something new and beautiful will be birthed. Might be in your life, might be in someone else's. But just let it go, dear ones. So you don't have to really even ask, how do I forgive myself? You need to let go of this feeling of obligation that you ought to be perfect and you ought to always behave in the way that you think you should. Because possibly that way isn't for your higher good anyway. And these situations come up so you can heal the very old trauma that is deep inside and was triggered by them. And that's why you came up with a fight or flight or freeze reaction. That's why you said or did what you feel is wrong now, what you wish you hadn't done. So be aware that this is one of the things you came in for, dear one. You came in to face how difficult it can be at times to love and accept yourself because you don't understand what it is that you've been going through. You don't understand the links to the other lives or the entity or energy interferences. So we're drawing down a great deal of light right now, and we're saying to those entities and those energy patterns that are in you that should not be there, and it's something every human being deals with, don't be alarmed. We're saying to them, look, we're pulling down this beautiful light. Just look up into that light. You know you belong there. That is your home. Release self-blame. Release self-criticism. That is not who you are. Now we're flowing a lot of energies to you, dear ones, so that you begin to realize, in my heart, I am already a light being. In my high heart, I belong already to the higher realms. I have always belonged to the higher realms. This is who I am. This is what my soul family and my soul are calling me to. This is what the universe is calling me to. And in these times of great transformation, dear ones, you will have moments where you think, I don't know that I'm changing or growing or shifting as quickly as I ought to. Maybe I've kind of missed the boat on the growth and the healing and the expansion that I came in for, but we would say you have not missed it. It's just that there have been many, many things in the way, not least the density of third-dimensional life, and you still feel that. It's still here to a degree. It is leaving, but it's also moving on. It's also dissipating as the fifth dimension roots itself and anchors itself into earth life many, many times over. So take a deep breath, dear ones, and just breathe out through the open mouth. And just continue with those breaths. And each time you breathe in, you're breathing in pure light. And it's the light of forgiveness that is the self-love and the self-acceptance that you have been looking for a long time. We're going to continue flowing these energies to you for as long as you are open to them. But we ask that you give yourself, dear ones, give yourself a chance to realize, I came in to be a faulted human being. I came in to do the wrong things, and even to be upset and disturbed some days. Because I knew that would trigger very old pain, bring it up to the surface, then I could deal with it. And if I've made what I or other people call mistakes, if I've hurt another, I send them love, I send them light. There was some higher purpose even to that. And perhaps they and I had a soul contract on some level. Perhaps whatever I caused brought up something in them that needed to be healed. All of this light flows into the greater river of higher energy and higher light, dear ones. That is all of your soul presences. You cannot be separate from it, any more than you could be separate from the beauty of nature. As beautiful as these lovely violet flowers are, with the orange center, as precious as they are, you are many more times so. And so we give thanks, dear ones. Many, many blessings. Namaste.